spoke, okay? And they said, these are the two that we want to do.
Yeah.
This is what we want to see square off.
Yeah.
But in the congressional race, very surprised that, the LA Times, Lee Rogers was their guy.
Yeah.
They said, this guy is going to go. He and there you go. And it's partly because...
That's where the money spoke. That's where Strickland's money spoke.
Oh, well, Lee Rogers threw $600,000 at this primary. Mm-hmm. Okay, he went all in. But it's partly, some people say his campaign manager made some bad moves. Other people say, which is true, that Evan Thomas took a lot of the votes. And if you look at that, okay, if he had Evan's votes and he wasn't running, Lee Rogers would have been on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, all right, I got to go. You guys finish up. Jeff, you want to take a quick break?
I think we could.
Okay, so thanks for making us the #1 news talk radio program in the Antelope Valley. We're going to take a break, and then you're going to be back with Linda, Angelina, and Jeff. Have a great day, you guys.
Okay.
Have fun.
Tell Tyler I said congratulations.
That is so cool for your son. Mm-hmm. He is such a beautiful boy, too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I bet.
Oh, okay.
Chronic Beats.
Palmdale that's become the talk of the town. It's called the Guidance Charter School, and many parents say it's magical. The Guidance Charter School is WASP accredited, scored 783 in academic performance, and has an educational curriculum that exceeds the state of California standards. The curriculum is enriched through age-appropriate exposure to information technology, arts, foreign language such as Arabic, and physical education. The Guidance Charter School has a winning CIF sports program with soccer, basketball, cross-country, volleyball, swimming, cheerleading, and more. An open enrollment, free tuition school, publicly funded. They've been in business for 12 years and are fully approved by the Palmdale School District. The Guidance Charter School has small classroom environment. 20 students in grades K through 3, 25 students in grades 4 through 8, and no more than 30 students in grades 9 through 12. Call the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale at 661-285-1600. That's the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale at 661-285-1600. And check out their website at thegcs.org. A better high school choice.
This is Palmdale Mayor Jim Ledford, and we have a great opportunity. We will be electing a new congressman for our valley. I served on the Palmdale City Council with Steve Knight, as well as serving with his father, Pete Knight, and I appreciate their service and belief in our community. Steve is a veteran of the U.S. Army, as well as an 18-year veteran of the LAPD, and I have the highest respect for our vet and law enforcement community. Steve has led by action over his tenure in Sacramento, and no one has authored more legislation for our veterans. As the son of a career Marine, I'm thankful for Steve's commitment to our veterans. Please join Mayor Pro Tem Tom Lackey and I in supporting Steve Knight for Congress.
Chronic Beats.
I think we're back.
Welcome back to AVNewsCast.com.
Well, cool. What did you guys think about the sheriff race?
Oh, man, there was a lot of money and a lot of controversy over that one, wasn't there? What's the number? Something like $1 million?
Yeah, $1 million. I think that I heard that Tanaka spent $1 million on that.
That's a healthy check, boy.
But who? I mean, people are not paying attention. He's about to be indicted.
Not at all.
No.
Second place. I don't get
Yeah,
that.
how are you second place?
With $1 million in the race, but also how are you about to be indicted? Let's talk about that. I mean, isn't that the real story here? I think, once again, we're seeing that voters who vote in non-presidential years are smart voters.
Well, not so much if they got Tanaka as second. But my whole thing is, so now what's going to happen? If he's indicted, what happens? He's no longer second. So is the third runner-up now second? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, well, right, exactly. This is going to
how
be
does that
fascinating.
It's ridiculous.
It's all about timing, though, isn't it? Isn't this a moment where we watch how timing plays out? Like,
And it's
exactly
right.
when do the indictments come down?
Yeah.
Are we looking at before November? Are we looking at this playing out
It should
in
have been
time?
before the primary, in all honesty, because it's not fair to us. Don't give us an option that is not really viable.
Absolutely. I mean, isn't it going to be interesting to see?
It's going to be nasty.
Of
This
course
is
it
not
is.
the South. I don't know how the heck he got to second.
Well, listen, here's what
How
the
did that
nice,
happen?
interesting idea is that he didn't make it to first.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Thank
I think
God
that
on
at some
one.
point, name recognition had to play into this. Because for what few people voted in that race in particular, right? I mean, the numbers overall compared to other times, it's kind of interesting how this is going to go down.
Well, I think it's his name recognition that got him that.
Well,
But they don't know.
But ask the average person. Go to the street, Angelina.
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
tell me, who is the third runner-up?
No, they don't know.
Who is the third name? And let's talk about that. I mean, why doesn't the third runner-up have a name presence? Because people are not paying attention.
They don't.
To smaller races,
They
and
don't.
they don't understand the power.
And they go to the polls and they say, you know what, I heard that name Tanaka.
Right.
I'll vote for it. Idiot! Because he's about to be indicted. That's why you heard the name.
Right. How many people knew who the judicial folks were?
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, how many people can tell you honestly who was running for controller in the AV?
I just knew that I wanted the same controller.
Right, right. But isn't that the standard answer?
Chong or...
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
right? I mean, how many people
He
will
wrote
tell
me a
you the
check.
insurance commissioner's name?
He wrote me a check,
Right.
Jeff, so I want that man back in there.
Right. I mean, how many people know the insurance commissioner's name?
Yeah.
Or the people that were running
Yeah.
in that race? How many people, I mean, if you really look carefully at the ballot, how many people were even talking about the ballot propositions?
No, I didn't talk about it at all.
I was watching the articles come in on governor alone. I mean, it was like there wasn't even a race. You didn't see a lot of people in the Antelope Valley talking about governor.
No.
You didn't hear anybody really talking about lieutenant governor.
No.
You just didn't. There just wasn't a lot of
Do you
conversation.
know about the measures that were on there?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm not like super informed the way I want to be. In terms of, I mean, like, do I think I'm an authority? No, I think that we had some interesting decisions to make
It was just
about
chill.
whether we were going to reimburse or not reimburse at the local level. And then the other issue, of course, was that notion of the homeless vets, And isn't that kind of a big flag we're waving now with all the expose about the VA and what's going down?
Listen, we've got some major work to do as a country. Like I keep saying, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I mean, just look at what happened. We have our real life homeland going on right now with this POW that we just negotiated back for 5 terrorists.
At what cost of life?
5 terrorists.
Right.
Well, I mean, I really think that he probably did it because he was like, I'm cleaning house. I don't want anybody there. So I really don't want to leave him by himself when I'm pulling all the military out. I get it, but you gave 5 terrorists up for this one guy.
Right.
This one
Turns
guy
out to be a deserter
that
and
just took a
possibly
walk.
treasonous.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, but that's all hearsay, the treason stuff. But
Well, it's got radio chatter. There's radio. That's not hearsay.
it is because we're just assuming. We don't know for sure.
We're still in America.
It's
We still have to do the whole trial. and all
It's
that.
radio chatter.
But
There's
let's go
him
back to this
looking
issue.
for Taliban people.
But you know what I found was interesting, Jeff, and I think you could speak to this. What are they talking about that they were saying there was some stuff happening at that base that was not right, and there were people that was upset? What are they talking about? And then they had to sign a non-disclosure.
Right. Right.
Why does peons have to sign non-disclosures about our military?
Look, let's.
What's that about? What they do to them?
I don't know, but let's talk about what happens to the military folk that come home.
Oh, they're
And we've
treated
got
like
to
that.
talk. We're an AV show, so I want to go AV on this because here's the crisis: we simply do not have the right treatment for our veterans. And that's going to be one of the key issues as far as I'm concerned come November. That has to be addressed, and that's why the ballot proposition was interesting to me. If you only knew, all of us, really what they go through. None of us can really imagine unless we're there. How many veterans in this valley are suffering? We do not have decent medical facilities. If you knew the wait times, all of us, if we really knew.
Well, listen, the reality is this. If we don't start treating them, because everybody knows, I mean, ever since I was a kid, I knew the VA hospital was like worse than dirt hurt to go to. I mean, that's not a newsflash.
No.
So I really don't understand why we're treating it like a newsflash. Maybe because there's proof to it. But I've always known that the VA was the worst place to go. But here's the thing that I think that's kind of pivoting now. If we don't start treating these people right, nobody's going to enlist. Well, no one's going to do it. Because you know what? They're finally getting wind to the smoke that's being blown up their butt. Go do this wonderful thing for your country. When you come back, you're treated like crap.
But a lot of people knew that going in. But here's the difference.
But why do you go?
Because there are benefits to going for a young person in many ways. You get an education out of the deal. You get some training.
Well, then let's talk the truth.
Right. But here's the key. And there's an interesting thing going on in this valley that people should notice, that we're getting a whiff of now, but I think it's going to become a major movement. Mm-hmm. We have a brand new hospital, or clinic rather, that's taking care of that old facility out there at High Desert on 60th and I.
That's going to turn into
well, there's a lot of talk about what we could do to turn the old facility into a full-on clinic. And not just Bob Alvis is talking about that. A lot of people are saying, hey, why can't we take an existing building?
Well, why can't we?
And have a lot of people come together, unify our forces, and try to, for example, with the mental illness issue in the valley. We have a dearth of beds. There are no beds for anybody under 18 in the Antelope Valley with a mental illness. People are going home or going off to South Central LA all over. So an interesting proposal is being talked about among a lot of the charitable groups and organizations and governmental entities is, why don't we join forces and we collectively pay for some doctors to be here. And we share resources so that we can, for the first time, maybe have a better foundation for mental health. And I think we're going to start to see, I think if a candidate's smart, they might start talking and looking at the real, whether it's feasible to have a local, full-on VA clinic here, if not a hospital. You have a building there, it may need some rehab, right? Yeah. But it's a lot cheaper to do that than to try to keep shipping people to LA, keep having problems locally, and to have people on the street that are unmedicated, untreated, and hurt.
Forget Mariloma. How about all these empty Walmarts?
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot of there's plenty of room. There really is.
It's expensive to build. Why not build on what you already have?
Yeah, but then the downside is if we come up and we create this great facility for mental health, then we become a different type of dumping ground.
That's the argument people might want to make. But here's
I'll take them over the sex offenders, obviously. But the bottom line, I agree, and I kind of want to take that statement back because I don't want to give any negative to that because it's a thing that we need. Every community needs it. I mean, especially of this magnitude, there's a lot of people. And look, the reality is, regardless to whether or not you served in the military, regardless to anything, life in and of itself is kicking a lot of people's butt. The stress that you have to take on to keep your roof over your head is tremendous.
I think that's important to talk about, too. And I think that what we need to see more of, really, really need more of in this valley is real mentorship, real unity, a real opportunity for young people to have a foundation, a real opportunity for them to join the conversation.
And have a connect.
And I think that I'm seeing a lot of glimmers of people finally recognizing the need for unity. I'm seeing a lot, there's still always going to be the backbiting dissenters. You have a lot of that in the valley too. But I'm starting to see some people I didn't expect to step up to the plate, trying to tuck veterans under the wing.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, you're starting to see people starting to talk about veterans issues, mental health issues, and seriously looking at them, people that are ordinary, and how we shore each other's families up. I'm seeing a lot of people doing a lot of things with bartering. There's a lot of pages on Facebook where people are recycling and unifying. And, there's a conversation starting that maybe we can kind of breathe some life into. That's worth noting.
It would be good. It would really be good because we need to, as a country, let alone as a community, we have to start changing the way we do things. We can't, I remember when I was in high school and I was in a government class, and he was talking about how the mindset at that time was going towards like a meism type of thing. And we went so far into that meism that we're screwing ourselves right now. And we have to go back and say, it's about the community and it's about giving. We have to get that back because that meism crap, nobody succeeds in that. Nobody.
No. There's a funny little thing that I began to notice with a speaker once I met, who wrote a book called The Lost Virtue of Happiness. Now, it's a Christian book, but he had an interesting premise. And I looked it up, and I kind of did some research, and it's true. He said that the original definition of happiness used to be something different than what it became in the 20s after World War I. The original definition, according to him, and I'll paraphrase it badly, was that happiness was based on the Aristotelian knowledge of, or thought of, service, community, respect, being the pillar of one's community. To lead the good life was to be moral, to have this sort of community-mindedness. But it suddenly became more like personal satisfaction in the 20s. Now, over time, that idea of rugged individualism, I don't have to help anybody else, became very prevalent.
Yeah.
You had TV foistering that image, and a lot of things came together to cause people to be far less unified than we've ever seen in America. I am seeing a turn, though. I think it starts with individuals stepping up and going, wait a minute. Hey, hello, we're going the wrong way.
Yeah, we are.
We need to take care. We can't just pretend the homeless aren't here. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, you can't put your head in the sand. I don't think we should be shipping them from other places here. I think we need to take care of our own. And I don't like a lot of tribalism where you get so that nobody can come. But I think we have a problem that needs openly fixing. We need talking about it. We have mental health issues. And a whole lot of people are getting really crazy in the world today from stress, exactly like you said. We have a big problem with how we're treating veterans. We have a crisis with lack of things to do for our young people. It's not a small problem. People say, well, on my day, I used to do that. The world's changed. Sorry, folks. The internet alone has changed how their brains work and how they're interacting.
Yeah.
So I think it's really more dire than ever that we start to have conversations from our leaders and even the unexpected leaders. We need to make linkages, where people can come and try to bond.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And we need to stop with the blowing up the butt with the smoke of, this person has got triple masters and so he's got the, a lot of this is very common sense and a lot of this is very simple information. So we do need to hear and we need to talk to and we need to participate in what's going on in the community. We need to pay attention to the Tanakas because we surely, wake up, people.
We just got through the whole crisis of what's going on in the sheriff's department. I'm not sure we want to.
Not sure. We're sure.
Really? Do you really want to go there again and have a whole nother plea? I was reading in just yesterday's paper another set of indictments.
Yes. But see, this is the part that's not right as a government. If you know that a candidate has got way too much going on personally to be in the position of honor, because I feel that it's an honor to be able to run.
Yeah.
And don't mislead the community. Some people are not paying attention. They just see a name. They're just gonna, they pick the name because I heard the name. Let me just pick it. That type of thing. Don't let him run. You have to have a clean slate. How about that?
Okay. I'm not so sure people have to have an impeccable slate, but I think you can't have indictments.
You can't have something, come on. JD had 2 DUIs. I certainly didn't slam him every time, and I could slam, me. I didn't slam him because I get it. People make mistakes.
And when there's genuine reform for anybody. Look, people expect our leaders to be on some moral pedestal above everybody else. Sorry, everybody's human.
Exactly.
But I don't think you should have active indictments.
No.
That's just kind of a no-brainer, right?
Yes.
And I think that we need
to... So why was his vote... Let me just look up his vote. I think he got like a ridiculous amount of votes. Why?
Again, when did the voting occur, though?
Yeah,
a lot of
that
people...
mail-in to kill you.
Again, and that's what we have.
79,000 votes.
Right, but when did those votes take place? What percentage of that was mail-in?
Yeah.
How much of that occurred with people actually knowing for whom they were really voting?
I don't know.
And isn't it really the real crisis that we don't have the sense of duty to go to the polls that other countries take much more seriously we do now?
Okay, I hear you. I do hear you.
Why?
But the thing is...
Are we disconnected from the process?
It's not even that we're disconnected. It's just that we constantly have seen, unless it's the votes that we just did last night, we've constantly have seen how it doesn't change a minute in your life.
Well, that's because people aren't noticing what's changed in those minutes of their life. They don't really get...
Look at the presidential election, for instance. We don't make a difference in it.
Oh, I disagree.
It's the Electoral College.
I disagree.
We don't listen. What election was it that the Earth guy won in the popular votes, but the Electoral College? What was that?
I don't know.
Al Gore versus
Al Gore. Yeah, he won.
Right. But
what did we get stuck with?
Okay, but here's
the Bushmen.
Right. But let's step back. I have my own set of issues around the Electoral College and whether it's a good idea or bad. But,
I mean, it's not
the
valid
real
anymore.
issue.
They don't need it.
The real issue at the table is all of us can get lackadaisical about voting.
Yes.
There have been many times in my life where, for whatever reason, in the past, I didn't go. I am more committed now than I've ever been, though, for one reason. And I think that is I finally really believe, and for a lot of reasons, that every vote does count. When you see an election as close as you did Steve Fox the last time out, that's a big deal. And I think that we need to restore the sense of connectedness that we used to have with the voting process. There's a lot of reasons why so many people are now disenfranchised. They are the silent majority, despite what anybody thinks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And someday there's going to be a truly big movement where people say, I've had it. I'm done with the past. I don't trust anybody, and I've had enough. We are going to take over because this is not okay. And I think that instead of fighting for this kind of revolution that some people talk about, the Occupy movement and all that, I think what we need is to really work on a renaissance. I think we need to teach people that their vote does matter, that we need to hold the politicians accountable.
That's it right there.
And to collectively we
it
can.
Right there.
You know, I will say this much in this last race. I do believe that you can go to Steve Fox, because I've done it.
Oh, yeah.
You can go to Tom Lackey.
Absolutely.
You can go to Steve Knight. Now, I'm going to hold their feet to the fire on individual issues. But locally, we do have responsive politicians.
Yeah, we do.
I
That's
can
what I'm
sit
saying.
down.
Locally, it makes a difference.
Right.
Because I'm very, very happy who's going head to head in this, because I know at the end of the day, regardless to who wins, I'm going to be represented. I'm going to be represented, regardless to who wins.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's the one interesting thing about this particular set of elections.
Yeah.
At least for the Assembly and for Congress. Now, depending on how it goes between Steve Knight and Tony Strickland, we're going to have somebody to whom we can go with our issues.
Well, not Strickland.
Well, right.
I mean, no, not
at this
Strickland,
point,
really.
I have to agree, because I don't see him coming to us.
Yeah, I mean, I met him at a game at the, what is it called? Jethawks Stadium. I met him there. That's the only time.
I've never met him.
He
has never once reached out. He has never once spoken on letters or anything else. He's not connecting.
No, he's not.
In this area, as far as I can see.
I bet he will now, though.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Aren't we going to hold the feet to the fire? I mean, I think that's the important thing.
But I think that
accountability matters.
Maybe he knows that the valley is like sewn up with night. Like, don't even try it, because it's a done deal.
I think we're going to see a very interesting battle there.
Really?
Yeah. I think you're going to see suddenly a very renewed awakening and interest in the AV. Like you said,
God.
I think you're going to see a pretty interesting battle, because now there's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake. Of course, I think the most important race right now is to get people to vote in November.
Yeah.
I think we absolutely need to reach out to voters. And I know the Dems had registered 10,000, 11,000 new voters that were Dem.
I want to say that's what he said.
I really expected to see a lot more people at the polls, didn't you?
Well, no.
Really? Even with all those new Dem voters?
No. Because I think that everybody has the great intention. Maybe if you sign these guys up early so that they can get the early voting done, maybe you'll see that kind of turnout. But, just like we spoke about before, the percentage of people that are mailing in their vote is so much greater than the people that go to the polls, especially because of the...
But how many of those people that they signed up were saying they were going to vote by mail? That's the part that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think that... I mean, some of these people don't pay attention. I mean, I certainly don't even check my mail. My daughter pays the household bills, so I don't even go to the mailbox.
You don't go to the mailbox?
I don't go to the mailbox.
You're not looking at your mail?
I don't, there's nothing that comes in that mailbox that I have to look at. Everything that's...
Well, I'm glad I haven't written you a snail mail letter. No,
no. Everything that I have to look at comes to my email box.
Okay, so you're not one of those people who go, wow, the new phone book is here.
Oh, absolutely not. And my daughter loves the coupons, and she loves all that stuff. So she's got the only key. I can't even tell you. I know where
we
it
have
is.
to have a whole nother conversation about this off air.
Yeah, I don't go. I don't go. There's nothing in there for me. She pays the household bills. I pay the rent, and that's it.
Okay, we're going to have a long conversation about the importance of the pen.
Really?
Yeah, really. I'm sorry, Angelina. I think that we have to have a separate conversation about that.
Okay, Linda.
You know, but let's look at this one thing.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about the need to unify. Mm-hmm. Do you think, in your opinion, that we're going to see a very, very big race? I do. I think we're going to see ground zero, battleground zero between Steve Fox and Tom Lackey. What do you think? I want to hear what you have to say about this.
I think that it's going to be very tight. I think that I think people are packing their bags right now in Sacramento on their way out here to fight for Fox. Because the Dems do not want that seat to go to the Republican Party, and I completely understand that. I was very happy with the work that Steve Fox has done over the year and a half. So I have no problem seeing him in there another 2 years. I really think it needs to be 4 years. And then the flip side,
that's huge. That's a big deal.
It is. And then the flip side is I really, really respect Tom. We are not off point on a lot of viewpoints. I think that we always get to the same spot.
It may take a while.
But it may, he's going a different direction than I am, which is totally fine. But I also think that he's a man that sees every person.
I think he has true respect for every person. I think there's a really important word to be put there.
Yeah.
I have watched Tom behind the scenes for a very long time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I've watched everybody in the Valley for a really, really long time. And I think what I have seen is really important in both candidates. I have not yet seen either one of the two frontrunners now that are heading off to the elections in November ever really not be there. Mm-hmm. If they were asked to serve or asked to do something. They have been responsive, not just to me, but to a lot of people. Yeah. And I think there's some real interesting, really interesting core ethics that are going to come into play in all this. Because I think we're going to have two guys that I think could actually run a pretty clean campaign.
I think so, too.
I hope they do. I pray they do. Yeah. Because here's the truth. I don't want to see the hit mailers.
No.
I would really find it refreshing if these two men going in to this last push for November could really keep it clean.
Well, here's the thing. What we're going to see is Lackey's going to say, let's look at his voting record. And let's see all the ones that he did not vote on, that he didn't make a stand on. And
that's different than personal attack.
And what I was going to say is that's absolutely fair.
Hey, attack issues all day long. I say it all the time.
Oh, yeah. That's absolutely fair.
People get upset when I will attack issues. They think I hate the person. I don't hate anybody.
Right.
I really will hold your feet to the fire on an issue if I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about what we're spending on electricity in this valley.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about whether we should have 7 versions of Walmart in one small Antelope Valley.
Exactly.
I really am concerned that we don't have a bigger push for the Costco's. Yes, you have to pay a membership fee.
And so what?
But so what?
So what? You get quality stuff.
Absolutely. Why do we have 7 Walmarts? We needed only a few, and that makes me sick.
For me, we don't even need Walmarts. For me, get rid of cash aid for welfare. Have the renters being paid. Have the owners being paid from the government directly. Give them welfare Walmart cards and let them go to Walmart.
That's a whole other story.
I'm not a Walmart person at all.
But the point I'm trying to make is there are some real issues that are not partisan issues.
Oh, yeah.
We have a real crisis on many levels in the Valley, and we have absolutely wonderful possibilities.
Yeah.
We have major good things happening. And it gets old to only hear the bad stuff. I want to see people building the Valley to the next 7 generations.
And again, we need to be accountable. Because,
absolutely.
Again, when we talk about increasing minimum wage and people say it's not fair for the business owners and blah, 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 Costco does a good job. Winco does a good job. There are companies,
that
major companies, that should absolutely be supported, that do a good job.
Absolutely.
Lowe's do a great job. Home Depot does a great job. And these are all entry, I mean, these are not rocket scientists that you got to deal with when you go in and you talk to these reps. These are entry-level positions, and they employ these people, and they pay them a fair wage, and they pay for their insurance, and it's a great thing.
But here's the
Why
thing.
can't we hold these people accountable?
Because here's the problem, and this is where education comes in. Most people are so now trained, even with the internet. I mean, I read a great book a long time ago that predicted what we'd see in Time Wars, how it's literally changing how our brains function.
Mm-hmm.
The computer does create a new brain wave and a different way of social interaction. What we need to do is educate people about the true importance of not going for the cheapest is good.
Yes.
We've got to rethink the old idea of disposable everything.
Everything, yeah.
And sometimes people think, well, I'll go buy the dollar t-shirt because my money's tight, yada, yada. But in the long run, if you're buying 10 of those t-shirts when one would have done, in the long run, that's a totally different story. Cheap isn't always good.
No.
And we don't have a lot of that elder connect with the younger folks saying, look, let me teach you how to make this with quality.
Yes.
Let's build this to last. Everything is deliberately, we got to buy.
Cheap, yeah.
So if we begin to do some of the things that people are talking about, Valley, we do need some trade schools that teach people, hey, let's build. Youth Build is an incredible program. We need more of it. I love a program called City Build. I'd love to see a City Build here. I'd love to see the young people get involved in organizations like Do Something, where they're taught to have service and to help each other and unify.
Yeah.
And I think that all the dissension and fighting is lovely. People are going to do that. We're always going to tribe up us versus them. But if we just make small inroads, if you have this quiet movement, which we know that there is.
Yeah, and it's really funny that you say that, because what comes to mind is when kids are about done with high school and they're looking at what they've done, they're always like, oh my God, I don't have any community service, or I don't have this and I don't have that. And it used to be a heartfelt thing that you did, not, oh, I got to have something.
Right.
Let me call Tom Lackey so he could hook me up with a spot that I can just put in my hours. You know what I mean? And parents are encouraging that. Instead of encouraging your children to genuinely know that you should give back.
Part of that, though, Angelina, is because of the pressures at home.
Oh, yeah.
The problem at home for most people is they're tired.
Yeah.
They're exhausted from just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And so we need to help each other move out of survival mode into unity.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that. I'm seeing people begin to hook up. I'm seeing a lot more barter sites that I never used to see. There used to be only Free Cycle before Facebook. You'd see people go to Free Cycle, and it was a really new movement, and it was kind of a revolution. I'm seeing barter sites all over Facebook, all over the different kinds of social media. I'm even seeing people build their own internets here in the Valley, which I think is very interesting, that are off the grid completely. Nobody can catch them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very high-tech stuff going on. But I think that the point is that you can see unity, and we need to build on that. Help each other out. In the old days, if a barn burned, everybody came together. That's old cliche stuff. But our barns are all on fire.
Oh, they are.
And I think that when it comes to politics, that everybody's tired of the same old. I am tired. I'm an independent. I voted all over the map yesterday for other people's, but I voted every single candidate carefully with research. And I was very good. It was a hard vote in a couple places.
Yeah, I thought about, I think that whenever someone speaks, I think the Democrats just speak to me. I mean, there's just something underlined about it. But yet, there will be times that I'll see a Republican on a ticket that I will admire and that I want to cast my vote for. But the thing in the back of my head that's always screaming at me is his paybacks. And you know what? You might have that great character and you might have that personality and you might speak a great game and I might believe you. But when you get in there, who are you paying back that I'm not going to be for?
Here's what I look for.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, here's what I look for today. Are you willing? Are you really willing to work for your community? Or are you going to end up being one looking for seat preservation? Now, first-time out candidates, it's a little hard to always know. You got to watch them over time because at the end of the day, you'll find that despite all the cynicism, despite all the negativity, when I was at the legislature, there were some people who really were there for a long time.
To fight the good fight.
For really good reasons. And there were some real people of integrity. That doesn't mean there weren't temptations, but I'm not cynical like I thought I'd be completely. I think I do.
Well, that's
organized
very
resistance.
That's very telling, because for you to have walked that walk, see, because I don't know if I worked there for a long time, if I would be able to walk out and say that there was any hope in it.
I'm not gonna lie. I danced out the door happily. You know, I mean, there was a point where you just go, "This is crazy," and I'm glad I'm out. I mean, there was relief. Young people stepping up, even if they're on little baby wings and they're not, they're kind of gawky and awkward.
That's why for me, the sheriff vote, every vote is crucial, but I have young black grandchildren. Do you understand the fear?
Do you understand that I think it's an issue we should all fear on the issue of integrity?
Yeah, I get it, but this is my reality. And you know what I mean? I look at my grandchildren and I go, "Oh my God. What tools do I need to give you so that you can just talk to the police?"
So here's the thing that we need to look at. And here's the truth. I'm starting to see even the sheriff's department and police change their attitudes.
Well, I hope so.
We're starting to see those coffees with a cop. We're starting to see more community involvement, and I think that is exactly what we need. Because
I don't know. Jeff and I went to a coffee with a cop, and it was one cop and five
Explorers guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that it has to
How
start
many police
somewhere.
officers do you want to take off the streets? I mean, come on.
Okay.
I live in Narrow Valley.
Okay.
We're the busiest
I'll give you that.
precincts
And you know
in
what?
the
It was
entire LA County. So I'm sorry. I think it's cool that one came at all.
Okay.
Not just the Explorer Scouts, because I don't want the guys off the street. I don't want them off the street. I want them doing their job, because we have a lot of bad guys.
I just need them to be looking for the bad guys.
But here's what I think we need to do. I think it's up to all of us to build those bridges. Now, I got to tell you, I'm finding it's very interesting that today, here's a classic example. This morning before the show, I decided to drive to a little hiding place I have. Police officer was there, a sheriff's department officer to be specific. And he was pulled over, and I thought about it twice. Am I going to pull over right behind him and do what I want to do? He waved at me as I drove up that driveway into this hidden little place I go, where I kind of stow away and watch out over everybody. And I thought, I'm going to sit here right behind you. What if you
because you're not doing anything wrong.
Right, and I'm not going to be afraid to do that. And he was so cool. When I left, he literally looked up, he waved, we chatted for a second, and it was like, this is a great spot to hide, isn't he? He goes, yeah, he goes, I had to do a report, I just didn't want to be in the sun. I think that it's up to us to make those bridges.
But
and
here's
it's up
the
to
thing,
them.
Linda.
Listen, and it's up to them to meet us halfway, because here's the
totally
truth.
hear you. I hear you, but Linda, the reality is...
I know what the reality is, but here's the point.
Because it wasn't my son pulling up behind the sheriff.
I have seen
sitting
things.
there.
I have students that'll come to the door, friends that come to the door. I have seen things that raise my hair at my back of the neck, but I'm not willing to surrender.
I'm not either.
I am not willing to give up hope
But
on
what
the
I
good.
want is I want people to be able to see that there are different realities depending on the eyes that you are looking through.
Right.
And I want you to know that just because you're not affected by it, there's real problems that we have to pay attention to. And you know what? There's real issues that I'm being slighted on when I watch television or when I deal with the media or when you know what I mean? Everybody is. And we can't cow down to what we think
But
criminals are supposed to look like.
It comes back to something important that we've forgotten. There's a tremendous problem everywhere about prejudice.
Yeah.
But it's even how we treat the planet itself, how we treat animals, speciesism, racism, all of them come down to the same thing.
It's insecurity.
They come down to fear of something we don't understand.
Right.
So again, my hope is that we have a renaissance, that we get more opportunities, because what we know for absolute certain is that with education comes understanding. All conflict stems from a lack of ability to communicate on some level, whether it's over property or money or religion, whatever. It's us versus them thinking. Now, there are times to tribe up. There are times to go to war, but in our valley, we can make a difference with conversations and respect. And I'm not trying to be preachy, moralistic or anything. I just think that there's a line I think of often, and I use it a lot with my students and with me because it's kind of haunting. It says, never to be squandered is the miracle of another human being. And I think if you really look at that issue, that word squandered, that every single person has value. Even if we can't stand them, there are people, I can't lie to you, I do not like, for good reason. They're just kind of heinous in some way.
Yeah.
But when I walk away and I get quiet and I sit alone and I think, I will always have to look at that person and say, what good can I see? Because if I don't do that, if I don't look for the good and try to encourage that and grow it, you might as well give up. You might as well give up, Angelina.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, you're preaching to the choir there. And I think that was a great way to end the show because we're out of time anyway.
Well, cool stuff.
Yeah, nice thought to end it.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for listening to AVNews.com, and we'll be back tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.